Thank you for your attendee. I will present you how to streamline application with YaK 2.0. The examples that I will use today is from our area where we are mainly experts at DBI services, which is databases, but you can streamline many other applications, not only databases with YaK. About myself, so I am CTO at DBI services since the beginning. I am one of the founders, and also since 2 years YaK product owner. And for what I present today, the YaK 2.0 will come soon. I will not say the date, but very, very soon, perhaps next week. So I don't say it too lot. And I present in many conferences and many topics, but currently my main babies is, as I said, the YaK promotion for the next month. So why automating databases and applications? But to be faster and to be efficient, and so that you can have many deployments in parallel, that you can have many developer platforms, testing platforms, and also production platform can be deployed automatically today. In some cases, it happens also not only on test and dev. And why also automating? Because of the compliance, so you can redo and redo without any changes in the deployments, to have less human error, because if it's exactly done what happened last time, so it's sure that you apply your internal rules, that everything is identical. Your infrastructure can evolve. You can automate additional stuff. You can make patching, high availability, monitoring, backups, and so on and so on. And another point, it's cost efficiency, because with automating deployment, you can, with automation development, yeah, you can be also cost efficient because you are faster. And what I always say for a development platform, what you can do, you can say, everything will be destroyed. Developer which work next day has to deploy again your environment. And so you are sure you have not many environments which remain everywhere, which are not used because of people are on vacation or on workshops or on holiday. You simply destroy everything in the evening, and the next day they have to deploy again. It's exactly what we do at DBI services internally for your YaK development and also development. We destroy everything at the evening. So we keep our cost under control. Okay. So why I should use Ansible? Because YaK 2.0 is based on Ansible. This choice that we did 5 years ago. And I think it was a very good choice, because we see more and more Ansible on many places. And so why Ansible? Because a declarative language, you say only the stage you want to reach, but you have not to code everything. So you want to have a Postgres database, we'll see later. You can say Postgres present, and after Ansible do everything for you. You have not to code to check in which place is the code here, it's installed, it's configured. So it's very easy to use. It's agentless, so you need only an SSH connection with a Python installed for Linux. On Windows, it is WinRM and Python, but it's nearly the same. And so, as I said, platform agnostic, you can deploy everything with Ansible, and it's very simple if you know it, but it's a specific language, but as soon as you know it, I must say it's very simple. Another advantage from Ansible is it's independent. So if you redo the same stuff as you did just before, it will do nothing, because he said it's already present, so it has nothing to do. So you can replay your playbooks as soon as you want. If everything is configured, it does nothing the next time. So this is about high level of Ansible. Then another point, why we should use Ansible. One of the points is Ansible. What I would say, open source, it's open source, sorry, but open source don't mean it's nice. But where it's nice here, it's because it has a very, very, very large community. And must be said, for the moment, it's very rare that I don't find some things that I need. The community is very large, and also extend more and more day to days. And if you look here, some information about modules and collection available. We see that you have already 1,800, which are directly included in Ansible when you install it. And then you have also galaxies where you can come with more than 8,000 collections for many applications. For example, if you look just below, Amazon collection has more than 100 modules. Microsoft more than 300 modules. Google's 170. Oracle Cloud 1,000 modules, because sometimes the modules are very small and are more split. But you have many stuff available for all your platforms. And this is only a little example of what is available with Ansible. So most of the time you find the Ansible collection available for your application or for your extra infrastructure that you want to deploy. Another point is support is reactive. Also, as it is open source, it don't mean you don't have support. The guys react very fastly. So, example, here a case we had in December last year, and where we wanted to deploy Ultra SSD for a customer, because Ultra SSD are very fast disks, and the customer needed to have very fast disks. And we saw that with Ansible it was not possible. So we opened a request on GitHub, and less than 1 month it was included in the code of the Ansible collection. So we see the reaction is very fast. I used to work in the past with many proprietary software where I had to wait often more than 6 months to have a fix. So I would say open source once reactivity, it's good. So now, database deployment with Ansible. So now we show a little introduction or what is Ansible, and now database deployment with Ansible. Here you have different ways to deploy database with Ansible. For example, you have some solutions which are provided from the cloud providers. So the public cloud provider, Amazon, Google, OCI, Azure, and so on. They bring some Ansible collection, which allows you to very easily deploy, for example, here a Postgres database. But it's also true for other database and for other applications. So you say only, I want a user, a password, a type of instance, and a name, and you can deploy it. And this allows you to have many functionalities, patching, HA, so everything. So what you need. So the RDS solutions that you know from the different cloud providers. And it's very, as you see here, the code is very simple to use it, but has some restriction. For example, you cannot deploy your Postgres on on-premise environment. You have your specific code for a specific RDS for a specific cloud provider. So if I take again the Postgres example, if you go to Amazon and after your OCI and after your Azure, so Postgres is completely different and has nothing to do from one to another platform. Has many limitations. You cannot add additional tools with these RDS services. You cannot add your own extensions. You cannot add your own specific stuff, tools, cron tabs, and so on. Everything what you are used to do regularly in your business, on your daily task, you cannot do it. It's very closed. You also don't have any root access. And the cost is also an issue here. So it's a limitation because the cost increase because more you deploy RDS solutions, more you pay, because and it's also the cost factor is per minute, per hour, per day. So RDS is not something which is cheap. It's nice, but you are after cloud provider dependent, and you have to. And for each deployment you do, for example, on deployments you do, for example, on development platforms where you have hundreds of developments, you have to pay for all these 100 of developments. So the cost can be very fast urge. Then another possibility to deploy your Postgres example here is to use what the community provide. I want to present that because many customers ask me often the question, yeah, I can use the Postgres community on other product, other application community modules. Yes, you can use it. It's nice. You can deploy it everywhere. So you're on cloud, you use YaS, infrastructure as service, and on top you can put your application, or on on-premise also. So you can use it on all platforms. It's a good point. But same here, you have many limitations. You can only do what it's done from the community package. So for example, you cannot say, I want version 10, 11, 12, 13. You have a specific version in this package, and you will get this package based on your platform. You need some basic knowledge of Ansible. So as before, not a lot, and it's free of use. So it's simple, but it's very limited. You cannot say, I want exactly to have my Postgres configured as I had it on-premise, with where the data are separated from the archives, where the data disks are faster as archive disks, and so you cannot apply such stuff. You can also not apply your best practices. You can change some parameters, but and that's it. You cannot change a lot. So for little stuff, I would say can be interesting, but also here you are very vastly limited. Then what you can do, take Ansible and write all your own code, and where you specify everything, and where you write your own roles for each step, for install the binary, for install the instance, for configure the extension, for configure where are the data. For example, here you say, I want to have the data here. And here you can do exactly the same as you did manually in the past. You have 100% possibility. You can have a list of versions that you want to install, so version from last year, this year, and from each 3 months when the new version comes, you can directly integrate it. You are completely free, and you can do everything. So no limitation. Can be applied on-premise and on different platforms. So everywhere, you can use this everywhere. The big drawback here, I know it because we do it, it's you need Ansible experts, because you need really Ansible expertise to write nice code with not some crazy stuff which not everybody understands. So, and also to know all functionalities from Ansible, and you need to need the knowledge of the application you manage. You need deep expertise in the Ansible and on the application also. But it's free of use, up to you. You can do it. You can write all your code yourself, but it will take time and you have to maintain it. Last not least is YaK Components. It's one I want to come today in this presentation. YaK Component, what it is, it's only Ansible, 100% Ansible, roles and playbooks, which are brought by DBI services, which contains all your best practices from the last 15 years. And it's multi-platform. So you have like RDS solution as the cloud provider have, but this solution can be applied on all platforms. So in Amazon, Azure, OCI, and on-premise, and on Nutanix, on VMware, everywhere. So it's completely open. The code is only open because it is 100% Ansible based, and it's readable. You have also functionality as the RDS solution from the cloud provider, as patching and HA, and it's customizable. Customer can write additional roles on top of our deployments to make some specific stuff. And this happens often. About the cost, it's not free because we had a huge investment behind to develop all this stuff. But the cost is under control because it's a yearly subscription, a fixed price that you pay for a component, for example, Oracle or Postgres or SQL Server. For this component you pay, you can use it how many as you want. So you can deploy it thousands of times. You can deploy it on-premise, on a different cloud platform. It's a fixed price. So you pay a fixed amount, which is not very huge, and you can use it how many you want over the year. After, if you don't renew the license, you don't have any more support, but you can continue also to use it. It's not as a cloud provider, you cannot use it anymore if you don't pay. Here you take the code and after you can use it all you want. And if you want support a new feature, as it will come now with a new UI and the API, you have to take the support. If you have support, you can open use case cases at DBI services in case of any issue that can help you. So here is a short summary for what I just explained. So we have the cloud managed services, where you have all functionalities as patching, HA, and even more. Here, I must say functionality is very well here. And then on the community content, what is possible is to have on-premise also, and you have the cost under control because it costs nothing, but you are very limited. Then if you write your own Ansible, it's fully customizable. You can do everything. It's possible to deploy also on-premise. You have the cost under control, but you have not functionalities as patching and HA. You have to ready to write everything yourself. And you need really deep expertise on Ansible. Now we go to YaK. YaK, you don't need to have Ansible knowledge. It's better if you want to write your additional roles for your additional stuff, but it's not required. And you have the functionality as patching and HA. It's fully customizable because you can add customer roles. It's possibility to deploy on-premise and on other platform. And last but not least, it's a yearly subscription, which means that your costs are under control because you pay only a fixed price per year. This is a different solution you have to deploy database today with Ansible and application. Now, as we have the application, we need to have a platform to deploy this application because Ansible code must always be put in a deployment platform to deploy your Ansible code. One of the platforms that exist is the Ansible AWX community. This is a web-based UI for Ansible code deployment, has inventory in YAML and JSON format, so simple flat files where you have all information from the deployment you want to do. So for each deployment, you must know you will have a YAML file or a JSON file, each. So you make thousands of deployments, thousands of YAML files. So after, if you want to make a report from all deployments you have in your companies, you have to go through all YAML files or to go through all deployments. But you have not a database where everything is, all metadata are saved, and you can make reports from everything you have deployed. This is not possible. You have only simple flat files for the inventories. You can, what's provided, you have basic job scheduling and workflow automations. This is nice. For example, you can make workflows for different steps for not only the server and the application, but also some other stuff for networking, for firewalling, and what you want. You can make everything with these jobs. You have role-based access management, so you can say this user can deploy servers, other user can only deploy a database, only other user can only deploy web server, and so on. You have an REST API also for automation. It supports dynamic inventory. What does this mean? Dynamic inventory means you can connect Amazon and you can get the full inventory from Amazon, and you can communicate very easily with Amazon, but it's only Amazon. Or you can connect with Azure, and you have everything directly connected with Azure from the inventory, but you see only Azure. Or you can go to another platform, but you see only this other platform. So it's a dynamic inventory, but in one area. You cannot have a dynamic inventory cross-platform. This is not provided by AWX. And integrate also logging and notification. This is an open source solution from Red Hat. Then you have the Red Hat product, which is Ansible automation platform. You have everything what is on the open source platform AWX, plus some additional stuff as support, which is very important. You have support in case of any issue, troubleshooting. You can ask the Red Hat support. You can, for upgrade and operation, you have many material provided. You have additional dashboards to see what you deployed. But as I said, your inventory still are flat files. It don't change also with Ansible automation platform. You have enhanced features, so enhanced workflows, scheduling, role-based access management. Today, they provide also policy-driven automation control. So event-based, you can apply policies with Ansible automation platform. And last not least, today they also include AI with Ansible Lightspeed. So to help you write easily Ansible code. This is the second way to deploy Ansible code. Another way is YaK Core. Before I show you YaK Component, it's what is subscription-based. And now the platform to deploy the YaK Component is YaK Core, and this one is open source, fully open source, and allows you to deploy server on different cloud platforms. I go now a little bit more into detail about YaK Core, which is our deployment platform. This contains a central database. So the inventory, it's a real dynamic inventory cross-platform. In this inventory, you have all platforms, Amazon, Oracle, Azure, on-premise, and even more in the future. So it's one inventory where everything is accessible, all data from all deployments over your company. You have an UI, a CLI, and an API. So you have, I will see just after, a nice graphical interface to make your deployments. You have a command line interface, or you can direct make API calls with HTTPS codes. It allows to deploy instances as Linux or Windows, including the storage. So everything what you need before you will install an application. So it deploy your instance, deploy your storage, deploy your access, your security. After you can only say, I want to install a web server, I want to install an application. That's it. It contains also rollback access management. So you can say one user can only deploy on production system, another user can only deploy on development system, and it's completely open source. So as soon YaK Core 2.0 will be released very soon, it will be all code will be available on the open source community. And the goal to give that to the open source community is to win other connector for other platforms. For example, Google, VMware, Nutanix, OpenShift virtualization. This can be all new connector for our platforms. YaK Component, as I presented at the beginning, it's only Ansible code, include all our best practices, and is subscription-based. And this comes on top of YaK Core. So I go a little bit more in details now. YaK Core, it's managed over a PostgreSQL in the middle for where all code goes through. On one side, you have your database where all metadata are saved from all deployments, from all configuration, from all application. On the other side, you have your YaK runner, which run the Ansible code, so the instance, the application, and so on. And on top, you have an UI to configure or an CLI to configure your component. These are the four YaK Core. If you are interested, it's working in containers. You have a front-end container, a back-end container, a database container, and a runner. So 4 containers. And the CLI is an executable. So now how it looks like. For example, here infrastructure, I have a list of infrastructures that I have configured, an on-premise, an AWS, an Azure, an OCI, and another AWS infrastructure. Here you have servers. For example, here I have 3 servers which are deployed on 3 different platforms. So here you have a multi-platform UI. You have not a platform, an UI for Amazon, an UI for OCI, an UI for Azure. Also, what we did, very important, our UI is very simple. We did the opposite from the cloud provider. The cloud provider, when you log, you have 150 services, and you don't know where you have to click. Here is the opposite. Per default, with the role-based access management we did in place, you have nothing. You have access to nothing. Only the YaK super admin has access to everything. And after, to the user, he say, this guy has access to this platform. He is allowed to deploy this type of instance, this type of OS, this type of application. So after you get privileges to do your jobs. It's the opposite from the cloud provider. Because in the past, since I am working with cloud providers at more than 10 years, when you look on the interface, you have a airplane, aircraft cockpit, so you don't know where you have to look, you don't know where you have to start. It's very complicated. Here we did something very simple and very useful for the end user. So now we will make a little demo how to deploy a Linux server on one of the 3 platforms or the 3 platforms as we want. So I go to the UI. So here we have a cockpit. We see the jobs already run on the server you have. Here on my demo platform, I have not a lot. Also, my demo platform is 3 months old. It's not the latest status that will come out next week, but I want to have something which run always, so I don't use the latest evolution. So as I showed you before, here you have my infrastructure which are declared. So for example, I look the parameter from my Amazon infrastructure. So what is very important is the security group and the subnet. After you can give tags, which is very interesting for back charging to know how you can charge at the end the cost. So here I have the different infrastructure, Azure, parameters, and so on. Then I come to my servers, and here I have 3 servers which I have deleted. This is only a specific stuff that we propose with YaK that other providers don't propose. We keep the metadata. For example, when I deploy a server, after I destroy it. But when it is destroyed, the metadata remain here, and the data are still in the database. So what I can do, I can select all server, and I can deploy it again. You will ask me, but for what you need that? Exactly for the developers. The developers can keep their metadata, and morning they have only to deploy again. In the cloud provider, you have only 2 status, deployed and deleted. You cannot have something where only the metadata keep remaining. As you have to configure per hand, and after it's deployed, and when you remove, you have again to configure per hand. Here you don't need to configure per hand again. You have only to deploy again in one click. So now you have, I deployed the 3 Linux server on the 3 cloud providers. I can also look the jobs. See here they are running, and I can also have access to the Ansible log files. You will see everything what occur. So if you know a little bit Ansible, you can also see what happened. You can also go inside the code. You have access and to see what really happened behind. So before it's running, see AWS is very fast, but AWS, it don't mean if the server is fast created, that is the fastest. Because here, the storage is not really attached with AWS. It make only a link on the object storage to S3, and when you use the machine, after it will create user disks. So it's fast in creation, but in usage after it's slower. It's better to have Azure and OCI, which really creates the machines, and when they are created, you can really use it. Here you are first to use the disks, that the disk will be provisioned. So it's sometimes interesting to say it's fast, but it's not fast. These are about the servers. I can look some parameters for my servers. For example, here it's also very simple. On the new version, we have some more parameters. We have an advanced section and a storage section. Currently in this version, which is no more months old, I have only some basic stuff. But what is interesting here is to see here, it shows your image. We don't provide any images, YaK. We use the image from the community or the image from the customer. It's what happens often today. Many customers have their own image and it's work. No, it's not an issue. He has only to give us the image name and we can directly integrate. We'll see after how to manage the images. And here's the shape. So if you want a small, a large, a medium. Here also, the cloud provider, you access the graphical interface from the cloud provider. You can deploy machine which cost you many thousands per day. Here you can define, I want only small machines and I give only access to my user to small machine. No risk that they will explode your budget. This is the opposite view to give privileges as the cloud provider. But because cloud provider want to mean money, so bigger machine you deploy, more money they win. So this is motivation, I think. So this is about the server. Here I have, as I said, in the new version, you have a section advanced and storage. So look on our server. So we have now your 3 server running and the job has finished successfully. So What I can show you before we go to component, a little bit configuration. Here you manage your secrets, the secrets to connect your cloud platforms, the secrets for your SSH key to connect the machine. These are the secrets we need. Here it's a provider image. Here you say, for example, I want only this type of image for my deployments. So not all 150 shapes that exist at AWS. I want only that these three are used. So the YaK super administrator say, I want these three, and after the user can only choose these three. As I said, it's the opposite from the cloud. So here images, you say which image can be used for your deployment of your application. You have not all more 1,000 images which are displayed here. The YaK admin decide which image are available for you, and you have to use the one that which are put available. Here some for Azure, here some for OCI. And as last but not least, the artifact provider, because we bring all our binaries. So the full binary set will be provided for DBI, from DBI services for the application to be sure 100% that each deployment is 100% identical. And for that, we need an artifact provider. The artifact provider can be for AWS in S3, Azure blob storage, OCI object storage, or on-premise a file system. These are the 4 solutions available to put your artifact. Administration, no, here it's finished, but I don't have it in my version, which is 3 months old. And here you have the management to the role-based access management to give privilege to specific users for specific platform and to define your groups for infrastructure. And here you can upload your components. Here, for example, I have uploaded my Postgres component. So if I make upload, I take a zip file with your roles and your playbooks from Ansible, and after it's available here. And as soon the component is available here, I can deploy components. So I come shortly back to my presentation. So YaK Components, how it is. So you can deploy some Postgres, and after you see it running. This is the status from the productive view. I don't have the status, we'll see just later for the moment. And now we will have a deploy a Postgres for the YaK component. So as I said, here component type, I have a Postgres which is uploaded. So if I go to component, I can declare a component. What I have to take is a server. So which one? Azure, AWS, OCI. Okay, I say OCI because OCI has only such very short on Postgres services. But if I deploy my Postgres, it will be 100% identical here, or on-premise, or on VMware, or on Nutanix. No difference. So I define a component, declare PG01 OCI, component Postgres instance, a standalone one to go fast. I apply SOS. I use the binary installation type to be fast. Instance name PG01. I install the extension. Also here we have many more possibilities with an advanced section here for its final version, but here I don't have it. But the goal is to have also easy solutions without going to advanced. If this is the minimum that you have to do. And not to put my server. On the last version, you have a scroll list from the server available, which I had not here. So I declared my server. So now I have my Postgres, which is declared. And now I can deploy it or destroy it and redeploy it and redestroy it. So what I do here, I select it and I go to deploy. Oh, error. No, it's a joke. It's only an error in the code, but deployment, it's working, you see here. But it's my demo platform. I keep this error, but on the actual version, this error is fixed since 3 months, at least, I think. So now it's currently deploying a Postgres. And if I go to job, I see here component type Postgres playbook Linux deploy standalone. And I see exactly what happened now. It configures the storage, create volumes, and so on and so on. Everything it will be done for you. So I go shortly back to my presentation, and after you come back if everything was okay. Another point I want to present you, because Ansible automation platform is implemented in many places. and for many stuff. So, and I have customers that already use that together. And I also Red Hat ask me regularly because Red Hat bring a platform, but don't bring an application to deploy with this platform. So, and we have lots of applications that we can deploy. And I discussed with Red Hat, and after we checked together, is YaK compatible with Red Hat Ansible automation platform, and it's 100% compatible. Why? Because we used the same way of development. So, in simple words, I also have the roles, the playbooks. Yes, we use only Ansible code, so it's the same as on our Red Hat Ansible automation platform. So it was easily to integrate. How it's working? Here you have your YaK, as I showed you before, with the UI, with the CLI, with the YaK runner, and the graphical and the database. How it's working? If I want to work together with Red Hat Ansible automation platform, I have only to put my runner as an execution environment on Ansible automation platform. So I give him my runner container to Ansible execution platform as an execution environment. I attach my Git project from the YaK component, Postgres, for example, here, to Ansible automation platform. And after over the token, I can communicate with YaK, and I can deploy from Ansible automation platform with YaK. What is nice here, if you work with both together, you have the nice UI where you have all metadata in a database for all platforms. What Ansible automation platform don't provide, and also don't provide in the new version which just come out 2 weeks ago. So here you can speak with Ansible automation platform to an AWS dynamic inventory, or an Azure, one OCI, one on-prem, but not everything together. Here with YaK UI, you have all platforms directly available on one view, and everything is kept on a central database. And this is nobody else that does that currently. And since today, it's the case. I look for a competitor, but I didn't find any competitors the last 2 years about this solution to a multi-platform inventory. And how now it's working with Ansible automation platform. It connects the YaK, and after it's deployed from Ansible automation platform. Ansible automation YaK is used as an inventory from the multi-platform data. This is the roadmap. So until end of the year, the component will come out. What I want to say, YaK exists since 2 years. It was a version 1. We are currently at 1.7. All these features already exist in 1.7, but here the goal is to integrate them to the UI. We have already customers that use DataGuard with Observer. We already make DataGuard patching since 2 years. We have already Postgres from 13 to 16. We already make upgrades and Patronic cluster. What we don't have, and currently in finalization, is patching from Patronic cluster, which comes end of the year. But here it's only stuff that we already have and are integrated now into UI. So we are very fast in deployment, efficient, we are compliant. We have evolution management. We can also write your own code, your own application. What I didn't inform you, the YaK core platform allows you to write your own application. So you can, I won't have an application to deploy Redis. You write your roles, you write your playbooks, you define some parameters in a flat file, and this will automatically generate the UI I showed you just before, and you can directly over the UI deploy your Redis. It's very, very simple. And your Redis can be deployed on Amazon, on Azure, on OCI, on on-prem, and on other platform if you want. And it's cost efficient because, as you said, you can destroy your environment, keep the metadata, and start again the other day. It's not the case for production, but for development, it's very interesting. So this is the landscape from the YaK today. You have some cloud providers, Amazon, Azure, OCI that we support. We have on-premise that we support, and you have some components. My wishes for the future is to have many other connectors for VMware, Nutanix, Red Hat, OpenShift virtualization, to have other public cloud providers as Google, Alibaba, and to have other applications and also your application. So you can write your own application, and as soon you wrote your own application, it can be deployed on all available platforms without thinking about, we have no issue for any components here. If you develop on one platform and after we know that it's working on all platforms, because we have a centralized database multi-platform, a centralized inventory multi-platform. And this is the goal of that allows that. The subscription principle from the components is per component. So you pay not for all components, you pay for Postgres, you pay for Oracle, for SQL Server. So if you need only one, you pay only for one. And so it's not very expensive. You will get all patches and releases in a cycle of 3 months. And you have access to a DBI service support. So I am over, but what we don't saw for Postgres deployment. So we have to verify if everything is finished well. Okay, log is finished well. Deployment took 5 minutes, 42 seconds. Now I want to see my Postgres. So I go to my server, I deployed it on OCI. I want to see my IP. I take my public IP. And now for my machine here, SSR -E, my SSR key. OCI is OPC user, the IP. And if I am lucky, I am on the machine. So I am on the OCI machine, which we deployed. And now I can make sudo su -postgres. And now I am on my Postgres cluster, PG01. My Postgres cluster is running. I can see my file system. I have all my DMK tools. I can stop, start, list, update. I can do many stuff here. I can connect also SQH with history, select term from PG tables. I can do everything. And what is important here, the machine and the details, everything would be 100% identical if you deploy on-premise, on Azure, on Amazon OCI. It has no difference. And you have, if you want to do su minus, and now we don't have it. See, we have it, sorry. I have to go out from Postgres, sudo su minus, it's all allowed to go to root. But if you make automatic deployment, the goal is that everything is done per Ansible code and per automatic deployment, that you don't go here as root and install some manual stuff. But as root, you can go for troubleshooting, you can go for your log files. In case of urgent cases, you have access on everything. With the cloud provider solution, managed services, you don't have access here. You have to activate services. You have to wait 2-3 minutes until the log are provisioned. And it's a nightmare to make troubleshooting. Here you have make the same troubleshooting as you did on the past, on the standard installation. So I think I am over. I hope I don't give you too lot of information, that you were able to follow everything what I explained to you. So thank you. And I am ready for any question.
That's what I was going to say. Thanks a lot, Hervé. To all the participants, the mics are, I hope the mics are open again. Maybe I have to ask the technical colleagues, or you can unmute yourself. Feel free to ask the master of the YaK all the questions you always wanted to ask.
I have one question on my end. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we hear you.
Fantastic. When you said that the metadata will be saved so you can reuse it on another day, how long is this saved, or will it be at some point a little bit crowded?
No, for the moment it will remain here. I can still share my screen. If I go to an infrastructure, now I can take the Azure server. I can destroy it, action destroy. So after it will remain here as terminated. But if you want to clean it, to don't have it anymore, you have the action delete it. Then we'll delete the metadata. But we don't have any automatic rule currently that deletes the metadata. But it's something that I think can come in next version, that if many metadata remains here, that after 1 month it will be deleted. But otherwise you can delete it. If you click delete it, it's the same working as the cloud providers. it's remove everything. But we did that at the beginning, and I found that very interesting to keep the metadata, because as you saw before, in one click you redeploy everything.
I thought
and you have
more
all
about
the information in the database and all settings, so you have not to reduce many stuff. It's still here.
I was more thinking about if you're experimenting on many different projects and it starts to be crowded. If you have like 10 pages of.
You can delete it.
Okay. Good.
First, destroy. You cannot do it in one step. You have to destroy it. You see, terminating, and as soon, I think it will be soon finished. Deleting the VM, and as soon as it's finished, I will be able to delete it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Ali. Other questions?
So you see, sorry for finish the question.
Yeah.
Terminated.
No.
I selected action, deleted, back, finished. Away.
Sorry, I'm just interrupting because we have a question in the chat. If we already have automation in Argo CD, for example, do you provide an HTTP API to manage the databases instead of the GUI?
You can manage over as you saw, we have an API, so everything goes through the API, but you have to provision your inventory. And this will also go to the API. So you go through the API. This is not done for the moment. I must to be transparent. If I go to my presentation, and go here for the moment, the API calls are here. Because we already work with the UI, but the CLI is not finished and the API call are not documented, but they already exist. And you have this API call to configure your components in the inventory, and after this API call, you can deploy. Everything can be done over the API call.